Hey guys, it's me again, Thomas Renee, the head of voice and speech at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. I'm making another video so that we can actually do the chopstick exercise. It's one of my favorite exercises to start sensitizing the different parts of the tongue, not the anatomical parts, but the parts of the tongue that we need to understand in order to refer to the tongue in regards to speech. I want to give a shout out. This exercise is not coming from me. This is from the Knight Thompson Speech Works. So thank you, Dudley, Phil, Eric, and Andrea for the work that they do. And if anyone's interested, please feel free to refer to the work that's done in this book, Speaking with Skill, or any of their workshops. Yeah, so why I love this exercise is because it works on the neurological level. The research that I've done on this, the reason why it works is when you're touching the different parts of your tongue, you're actually reinforcing the neurological connections, the synapses between those neurons and the sensory nerves of the tongue. So the more you do this, the better you're going to be able to feel the different parts of your tongue and understand how to move them. I always do this exercise before doing some motor work with my tongue, because if you can't feel it, you can't move it. So the more fine-tuned that sensation, the more fine-tuned the motor skills are going to be, okay? So get your chopstick, and when you have your chopstick, first let's just start with the tip of the tongue, yeah, the first part. Just take that tip and just give it a little rub until you really get a sense of it. And I always just pull it back into the mouth and just feel it in space. Even if you just breathe a little cold air in on it, you might get a better sensation of that as well. Then to take the next step, I press the whole tongue up against the roof of my mouth. And I always just note that the tip of the tongue is going to be sitting behind the front top teeth. That'll be important for later speech work, especially when we're working on vowel shaping. Yeah. And then I go from the tip to the blade. And I make sure I get a good sensation of that. Again, pull it back into the mouth. Feel it in space. If you need to breathe in cold air to feel that, feel free. And then press up. You're going to feel the tip by the back of the front teeth, and then the blade by the alveolar ridge. Then the tip, the blade, and then the front of the tongue, the front of the dorsum of the tongue. There we go. And then feel it, press it up. Tip by the teeth, the blade by the alveolar ridge, and the front of the tongue. Yes, not the tip, but the front of the body of the tongue, the dorsum of the tongue, is by the front of the hard palate. And then we're going to go tip, blade, front, and middle. Excellent. Pull that back in. Feel it. Press up. And I find the tip by the teeth, the blade by the alveolar ridge, the front by the front of the hard palate, and the middle definitely the hard palate, mostly the back. Yeah. Then the tip, tip, blade, front, middle, then back. Pull that back in. Good. Just be careful if you have a very sensitive gag reflex. Yeah, it's quite far back there. You're hitting the bumps of the back of the tongue, or way back on the tongue. Yeah, it's too far. Just feel that space, feel the tongue, feel the back of the tongue, especially the back of the tongue. This one's really hard to sense. Press up. I get the tip by the teeth, the blade by the alveolar ridge, the front by the front of the hard palate, the middle by the back of the hard palate, and then the back hitting that soft palate. Excellent. Then we're going to go tip, blade, front, middle, back, and then the root of the tongue. You have a strong gag reflex. Be very, very careful with this, okay? As you can see, those bumps on the back of my tongue, that's going to be the root, okay? That's not the back of the tongue. Just feel that inside, and then press up. And hopefully you're starting to get a sense, the tip by the back of the teeth, the blade by the alveolar ridge, the front by the front of the hard palate, and the middle by the back of the hard palate, the back by the soft palate, and then the root is actually part of the pharyngeal wall. It's part of the wall of the throat. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, you can do this by yourself. I think it's great to do for your own personal practice. You could also choose to do this with a partner. Often when in class, what I do is I have people do the opposite person's tongue. Getting a sensation of the tongue from a hand that's not your own sometimes is a stronger sensation. So if you have someone that you trust or who understands the work, feel free to do that. Okay? Well, thanks guys so much. I'll talk to you soon. Hope keep practicing.